Hello, everybody. JT here. This is the first of what I hope will be many future video reviews. I used to do written reviews. I used to be a freelance film critic for a paper in Arkansas, and then I used to also have a blog of my own where I wrote reviews. And I decided to end all that last year, basically to join the mid 2000s. Eventually, I will have a YouTube channel hopefully called JT's Film Reviews or JT's Movie Reviews, something very simple. And the idea behind these video reviews is I'm really going to review only new movies that I see in the theaters, or if I go to the theaters to see an old movie, I may do a retro review then. But I'm not going to basically do a review for every movie like I used to. But those that I go to the theater to see, I'm going to do a review. The first two or three videos I'm going to just post on Facebook. But once the YouTube channel, and the reason for that is that when I get the YouTube channel going, I will have three or four videos maybe that I can go ahead and just upload, including this one as the first one. And these will be short and simple reviews. They will not be too long. I'm not going to try to spoil the movies. I will go ahead and say spoiler alert because some people just don't want to know nothing going into a movie. And that's okay. But, when I give a synopsis for a movie, I try to think, well, what would I see on the back of a DVD case or Blu-ray case or back in the day a VHS case? Where they didn't give you, they gave you a base synopsis and you just kind of went in hoping that that's what the film promised. And for this first review, I'm actually starting with a 2024 film instead of a 2025 film. I just got through watching Robert Eggers, writer-director, his version of Nosferatu. For those who don't know, it's based on the 1922 silent film of the same name. And I want to give a little history of that film first because I feel it will inform this review a little bit. That was made in Germany by German filmmakers who basically made an unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And they thought if they could change the names and change the location that, okay, we'll avoid copyright infringement. Not the case. Bram Stoker's widow did come after them, and the courts did side with her, and they actually ordered all prints of Nosferatu to be destroyed. Now, the reason it's a small miracle that Nosferatu has survived to this day, that original silent film, that some of the prints survived that order, is this is the age of silent film. Film preservation is not necessarily the biggest priority. There are silent films that are lost to time and we only know of their existence because a program still exists, a poster, or maybe even a scene or screenshot of the movie. But Nosferatu did survive, and it actually ended up informing where horror films would go, and it's a big example of the gothic horror films that were around at the time. It's really good, and if you choose to seek it out, I believe it's in the public domain. I believe it's pretty easy to find today because of how old it is. But Robert Eggers has remade that movie. And I'll put it this way. The biggest flaw of the movie is that the original was an unauthorized adaptation of Dracula. And so this is pretty much another adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula for the most part. Obviously, in the credits for this movie, it says based on Nosferatu from 1922, but also based on the novel by Bram Stoker. And so the movie's biggest flaw is that it's very, very familiar. You have this count. He's wanting to move to, in this case, Germany instead of London, which is where the setting is in Dracula. He's buying a property. But he's also trying to get back to a lost love, who's played by Lily Rose Depp in this movie. Her name is Ellen Hutter. She's Mina Harker in Dracula. Nicholas Holt is Thomas Hutter, or Jonathan Harker in the other movie, or in the other adaptations of Dracula. And Bill Skarsgård is Count Orlok, who of course is Count Dracula. And the familiar nature of the story is almost too much of a hindrance to the movie. I felt as I was watching that movie that I was watching Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. I felt like I'd seen this movie before. And not just Coppola's. I was invoked by Coppola because a lot of the imagery felt kind of similar, characterizations and all that stuff. But, Dracula, Nosferatu, there's been several adaptations of the Dracula story. And the question is, would Eggers deliver something a little bit more unique to a familiar story? The whole purpose of doing a remake or a reboot is that you're going to add something to it. You're going to add something that, the story can still be familiar, but it's going to maybe deviate in some way, or add an element to the story that we never thought could be added to the story. Eggers doesn't really survive. Or succeed at that. He kind of does the same story, and it doesn't really work out completely as an original piece. Now, that said, does that mean I'm not recommending the movie? I'm only not recommending it if that familiar nature of the story doesn't appeal to you. If you feel like, well, I've already seen that story, you may want to stay away. But every other aspect of the movie is pretty good. Now, I've got some notes here, so if you see me look to the side, I might have to look at them here a little bit, especially for names. But the performances are great. Like I said, Lily Rose Depp does a great job. Bill Skarsgård is good as Orlok, and I also like the design of Orlok. It's not beholden to that original image, but it's familiar to that original image. So we do get a little something new from the appearance of Orlok. I will say that. Nicholas Hoult does a good job, and another standout and scene stealer is Willem Dafoe. He plays a professor, I think it's Albin Eberhardt in this movie. He's our Van Helsing of this movie. And of course, just to hear him say Nosferatu, that made my day happy. But so the performances are really good, and Eggers' direction is solid as well. This is his fourth film, and I can't complain about the direction of the movie. And I'm going to butcher this name, but Jaron Bloschke, I think is his name. He's the cinematographer, and he really sets the gothic tone. There's a good gothic atmosphere to this movie. So if you're wanting a good, moody, gothic horror movie, this movie does succeed at that. Again, it's just that story's been told before, and it's very familiar. That's just my biggest complaint and a big detraction for me. Beyond that, the music score by Robin Carolyn is also moody, helps set the atmosphere, does what a good musical score should do for a movie. And so at the end of the day, it gets more right than wrong. And even though the story is familiar, Eggers tells it very well. So you're at least getting a new version that's told very well, even if it's not really adding anything new to the proceedings. So that said, how do I rate movies? Anyone who read my written reviews knows that I've got 2 ratings. I do a 1 through 5 star rating, and then just to simplify things a little bit more, I have a see it or skip it rating. And so for this movie, I will say that 3 out of 5 stars. That the familiarity of the movie was just a bit too much for me, but pretty solid in every other aspect. So I can't not recommend the movie. And so 3 out of 5 stars. So that simply means I do give it a see it. And so I am recommending the movie. The only way I don't recommend the movie is for anyone in the audience that's like, I have seen the Dracula story over and over and over and over again. That's the movie's biggest flaw. Beyond that, though, solid movie. Anyway, I hope this gives you an idea of the reviews you're going to get. Again, they're going to be quick reviews. I'm not going to try to be too spoiler because they are going to be mostly new movie reviews. And therefore, this gives you kind of an idea of what to expect from the videos, and I promise I'll get better at this. I got to get used to talking to a camera. I've got to get used to the mic, and then I've also got to get used to editing. I want to add graphics. I've got graphics for the star ratings and the see it and skip it. I got to figure all that out. That's kind of another reason I'm only posting on Facebook right now. I have a movie coming up later this month that I want to go see, so that'll probably be the next review. It's going to be January 17th. Well, the movie comes out January 17th. I may not be able to see it on that day, but I'm going to go watch Lee Whannell's new take on Wolfman. So it'll be another horror movie. It'll be a horror movie, and it'll also be a horror movie to start off 2025, because that'll be my first film review from a movie that's being released in 2025. Until then, I hope you enjoy these videos. I promise I'm going to try to get better at them. Maybe not refer to the notes as much and all that. And again, learn graphics and all that stuff. I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, see you at the movie.